clean. It has to start. It's live, unplugged.
With cleaner background music.
Well, keep it clean.
Welcome to the
Clean.
Christmas edition of Unplugged Health Series.
Well, we are vacuuming up your 2021.
Literally. I don't know if the podcast will pick it up in the background, but we have the dulcet drones of the vacuum in behind us. So, as always, this is Unplugged.
Yep.
Welcome to the Christmas edition. As you can pick up, we've got a little bit of a lower key podcast today. We're winding down. This will be going out just before Christmas, so everyone will be gearing up or gearing down, or the families will be getting together, or not, depending on
having their Christmas parties
on
with
the COVID
cheese and biscuits, and wine,
or not.
As long as they're working from home,
having the business meeting, and that. So we thought that we would just wind down on a bit of reflection of the year, either from a podcast perspective or professionally, and also just run through some of the things we know within our centre. We've got some exciting plans and developments that we've been working on behind the scenes for next year. So what about you?
Yeah, it's been a different year. Well, actually, no, it's been a better year than 2020. I'm not going to lie.
It's that like in betweener, isn't it? We moved towards something, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah,
but
I think it's forced me to adapt. Whereas I had probably 50%, maybe 60% of my clients outside of the UK. It's now about 60, 70% of my clients are inside the UK. So I can still go and travel and see them, but obviously their air travel has been a bit harder to do.
Yeah.
So we've had to adapt and change. But I think the last year, if I looked at like knowledge I'd taken on board, this last year has just forced me into taking on more knowledge. And I've done multiple courses because I haven't been paying for trips. So it's been a year of growth.
I've found also this year is that I was speaking with colleagues of mine that a lot of people don't appreciate some of the background studying that you've had to do to become a chiropractor, and then particularly also having then gone further then into certification in functional medicine. A lot of my patients aren't even aware that I've done that, because next year will be the start of changing our appointment book and starting to go further into that. So I'll elaborate a bit on that later perhaps. But because of the developments with COVID and then the frustrations of accessibility to, shall we say, traditional primary healthcare, I've had more in-depth discussions and questions and opinions being asked of me as far as general health things, not necessarily COVID, more so than in the 20 odd years I've been practicing. So that's been great, because we've been able to actually share our knowledge, and people being more aware that actually our training is far more in depth of general healthcare and primary healthcare issues than what was first originally thought of when you think chiropractor.
Oh, definitely.
So same, it's allowed some different using of different technologies. I've done a couple of courses which I haven't been able to do in the past because of travel. They've been inaccessible. Whereas now with Zoom, it's not the same, but I've been able to do different certifications, which traditionally I would have had to have gone left work, left family, and then travelled abroad,
weird, like, when you look
which hasn't been possible. So there's certainly been some positives.
Like when you look at the course availability, you can get qualified literally from your own home now. Like in a lot of, sometimes you have to have the in practice hours, but I re-registered for the International College of Holistic Medicine last week, and it made me think, like, I pushed so hard to get those qualifications, those certificates. Ironically, you just printed off a certificate. You don't even get it sent to you. So you're printing off a certificate to put on your wall. But it is cool that these courses that you used to have to travel to have had to adapt.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how, like anything in society, how much comes back, or whether you keep those different options. You have those different options.
Yeah. I have noticed, like, with some clients, and it's a frustrating place, that there seemed to be more anxiety that I've seen with clients, and I've spoken this year to a lot of more parents that are worried about their kids because of the anxiety and the social aspect of it. So I'm hopeful that people will be able to get out and socialise more, fingers crossed, like even more next year, because that's one of the things, like probably the negative reflection that I've seen. Like there's been more anxiety,
and
in
I think
society.
also the element of new variants has re-sparked that the focus has gone back onto the virus and the variants and restrictions and what's the immediate need to do XYZ. Whereas we were starting to have that bigger debate about the mental health aspects of lockdowns, the mental health of and the nervousness, and at the moment we are in a situation that there's more angst again, there's more uncertainty, rightly or wrongly, but there's a lot of unknowns, and that's recreating that. So I think that all those debates where they're going to drop off a bit, but hopefully next year they will resurface and we'll move forwards.
I don't know whether it's because my algorithm has changed to the point where I'm actually exposed to more people that believe in holistic and homeopathic methods and functional medicine, but I have seen more people open to using nutritionist therapy. Like I'm actually registered as a nutritional therapist, and people have been more open to it. But is that because my algorithm has changed because I'm exposed to them people,
I think
or are people's minds
energy-wise,
changing?
you will open and you'll have different debates. Your knowledge will increase. So I've had more talks basically also because my knowledge base has changed. So therefore my questions have changed. So I think it's a bit of both. So you start becoming comfortable with asking different questions or giving different information.
Yeah, I suppose
so
my screening process changed, so I'm asking the clients.
Yeah, so people start becoming comfortable that they can ask you different questions. So I think it's a bit of both. But I think also more and more there are more people who are then going, okay, well there's these options as far as my health, but what do I do to improve my overall health? What else is out there? I think with the changes in policies, again, your access of your primary healthcare provider has been different. It's, you're now sending an email to your GP practice. You're now waiting for a response. So I think people are also being more open to what other options do I have where I can have more interaction and I can join someone on a journey. I want to take more responsibility. So I think a lot of the society has changed. Not all of it, but I think there's more people who are then open to what else can I do to help myself?
I think it's more
about control.
Thing, though.
It's about having what can I do to help control rather than relinquish my control and just follow whatever is said to me, where they're thinking, well, I'm not even accessing that conversation with my primary healthcare provider, but now there's other options. So I think the whole dynamic is changing. I
think that's positive.
And I think next year it'll continue because we will continue to have more debates and more questions about health, and more people will feel comfortable, confident to say, what can I do to help myself? And I think overall that's great. But I think there's still a few little twists and turns through next year as well. Adaptation and change is still going to be the key, because there will be different variants, there will be different questions, and everything will be adapting and changing. There's also in healthcare, there's the big catch up. There's procedures and things being put on hold, and that's affected other people's health.
Yeah, it's not
affected
just
outcomes.
COVID that's around here. There's other things going on as well.
So I think that's where you and I, we have a lot to offer, either from sharing information or debates or point of contact. So I welcome certainly our followers and also the extended families and friends, etc., of people who are following on our podcast to get in contact. We've got a couple of different projects which are going to hit next year. One of them which is more on gut health and gut dysfunction. So I've kind of done a lot of interest things with SIBO and gut bacteria dysbiosis and those basics, because the research out there is there's a lot of people with irritable bowel or imbalanced gut health. So we've got two programs which we will run through the year, and then the other one is a menopausal program, which
definitely needed,
which is huge. And interesting stat that it's been quite an eye opener for me as a male, that a third of a woman's life is generally taken up with the concept of menopause. So we are comfortable to talk about hormonal changes in a young woman's life in puberty, but there's not enough been going on about menopause and that effect. And so that's been really quite interesting.
Do some content
it's
on
been
that.
huge, interesting, and we're going to run some courses through our office. That's going to involve our staff. We'll do kind of thinking along the line 6-week courses. So for us, there's some really cool dynamics and changes and interested in my appointment book's going to change a bit, and we'll be doing a little bit more of the functional medicine side of things.
That's cool.
So I'm really looking forward to next year. Now that we've moved premises and we're stable and we're settled, and now next year is the time for us to kind of get into the rhythm that we want to do as a practice. So I'm looking forward to next year, but I'm also looking forward to Christmas and a bit of a rest. It's been a busy year for us, and I'm just looking forward to some time out with family and then recharge and hit next year. So from my perspective, watch out for some contents and some announcements through with the podcast and on our website, etc. And I look forward to 2022.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll put some good content out on the podcast when we talk about gut health and everything. It's one of the things that, as I said before, I'm pushing this full health screening. It was the MOT, but they didn't have MOTs in America, so that was lost on a couple of my American friends who did sign up, though, ironically, because they wondered what an MOT was. But
I don't know what it is, but I want some of it.
But it's basically that full health screening where we have 4 in-depth questionnaires. So there's brain health, gut health, go through genetics and genetic SNPs. So see, we usually say, it's down to our genetics, but can we actually adapt and improve?
And I think for many people better understand what is actually meant by the genetics and genome, because there's a lot of people think, it's just predisposed, that's the way it's going to be. I'm almost guaranteed to have X, Y, Z.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going through. It's £99. We get on a call and we go through basically to give someone an idea of some pointers to implement. And then afterwards, if they want to get on the top of come to me and actually have health coaching, then they get the full one-to-one. They get that £99 off the first month. So it's an idea to basically set yourself up. So I'll be pushing it over Christmas and in January time. It'll always stay at that price. It's not going to go higher or lower on that for a sale or anything. But it just gives people to actually take control a bit more.
Well, compared to what else is out there, that's good value as far as touching those key areas and forming the baseline of something.
And I think it's key to realise that it is done off questionnaires. So it's not medical. Like, there's a lot of science behind the questions in the questionnaires, but it's not a diagnosis, prescription,
it's lifestyle
side of things, looking at symptomology. So pushing that and working my one-to-one. What I do want to do next year as well is that I've shied away from the personal training side. So not as in doing personal training like one-to-one, but offering more of the exercise advice, because I have the clients that we come in the functional medicine side and then they want to go down the other route as well. But I've found a lot of times that, and I used to be the same in personal training, and was I want to push someone hard, but then they come back and like go backwards with the functional medicine side. So keeping the balance right for hormonal balance. So I'm looking, I would say end of January, February time to actually finally have someone else on board. It'll be the second person I hire. So I've got someone for social media, have a coach. I'm a limited company now. Did I say that?
Yeah.
My bank account came through yesterday. I'm fine after 7 years of being a sole trader.
You be careful. You might think you're an adult.
I might take over the world at this point.
You might think that you're an adult and grown up.
This time next year.
All this, Ron.
Yeah. But yeah, they're the things that we've got going on. And I think as well, we've said about doing something live with the podcast. So I think
I think the whole COVID thing and lockdowns and restrictions of people and access has kind of put a damper there, and then energies have moved elsewhere for a while. But that's certainly something that both Ollie and I feel passionate about, of doing a live and doing a live question and answer and interaction. Not necessarily having all the answers ourselves. Sometimes, the people in the general public have more answers and we learn from that. So that's an evening or so, or a series of things that we really want to do.
I think if we do one, ideally like around February time, I'm going to start looking for places that are very low cost for us to hire, but so we can then maybe even put it on free. I don't know the details yet, but if we can have 20 people in there, and we'll just have a discussion.
Yeah.
Get some cheese and
Have
biscuits.
an open evening. Cheese and biscuits. You were so adamant today for the podcast to get cheese and biscuits and a business meeting in.
Yeah.
To be very topical.
But yeah,
I love it.
I won't have it because of the gluten and we can get dairy free and gluten free. But just have an open discussion about health, because yes, even though we've got this podcast here, it's still a step to then ask questions on comments or messages or remembering it when you come in for your appointment. And I think that we can have a good discussion, and what we will do as well. And I think it's a strength that when you don't know something, you admit you don't know, and then you go and find out the answer.
You can go back. And that's what I mean. It's a part of our learning as well. So if there are ideas or topics or anything that going forwards, either in the podcast or a live event, then it'd be great to have some interaction, because it is unplugged, but sometimes we do like to have a bit of an idea of something which is topical, or something which people who are following us would like more of.
If you know anywhere that is good for parties apart from Darien Street,
Caribbean, those kind of Maldives is good.
Yeah, just not Darien Street. On that note,
right, have a great Christmas from both Ollie and I, and we will catch you in the New Year's. By then, we will know who's won the F1.
Come on, Lewis,
because that's coming up.
We could be here for ages, but
so that's going to be an interesting one. Football is obviously carrying on.
United,
if Spurs can feel the players, because they all seem to
taken like 3 weeks off sick.
But it's a good way to get our team rested and recharged.
Yep.
So
was it 13 players and staff?
8 players and 5 staff.
But the thing was that the Europa League match was cancelled, and they were still debating on the weekend.
Yeah, but
it was obvious.
They were already pushing that on.
So you got 2 games in hand now.
Yeah. We might need them. Yeah. Right.
Anyway,
we wish you a Merry Christmas.
We'll be above you by the next time you play.
Never.
That's worrying. And a Happy New Year.
On that note,
keep
well, and we'll see you in the new year.
Bye.